Okay.
Perfect. All right. So what better place to start to lay out our agenda than a SmartSuite dashboard view? Today, we're going to really quickly just cover what a dashboard is, how it relates to the rest of our product. Then Emma graciously actually built out a really cool dashboard that will give us an idea of how we can use a dashboard, but everything about our dashboard view is completely customizable. It's a blank canvas for you to create a beautiful work of art. So we're going to actually take the time to take a poll and understand exactly what you would like to build out together on this call. Emma said we're going to be inviting everybody to this workspace. So look out in your email address, the email that you signed up for today's webinar with, for that invitation. Join us because then we're going to be building individual dashboards. This is a hybrid webinar, hybrid in terms of a little webinar, a little bit of office hours. If you've been to one of our office hours 3 days a week, where we're going to be building together, getting some feedback, and then we're going to have a volunteer from the group here actually present what it is that we've built during the time. So excited for this one. Without further ado, let's start talking about dashboards. So quick dashboard overview. I'll first hop into a grid view. Oftentimes when you're starting with SmartSuite, this is the first view that you see when you enter a solution. We have a collection of different solutions within this workspace. I can favorite a solution, bring it up towards the top, but really I have access to as many different solutions as I would need in any SmartSuite paid plan. When I enter that solution again, you enter a grid view. And in every table's grid view, each row represents a thing or an object, right? So in my application workshop table, I have all these different agenda items represented as records. I can open them up and I can see all of the fields of information about this specific agenda item or record. And these details we call fields. In the grid view, they look like columns, but we call them fields because we can visualize them in many different ways. It's essentially an attribute for that thing. You can have a collection of tables in the same solution, but really tables collectively are able to be reported on across an entire workspace, right? Because every solution has a table or multiple tables, likely multiple tables. And so that's where our different view types come in. In most cases, our views allow you to visualize the information in that table a specific way. Where dashboards are unique is that it's essentially its own layer of our product. It's a way for you to be able to build a dashboard for viewing metrics, but really, even more so as we've started to launch these new features, it's a user interface layer, a place where you can build and bring data in from across your entire workspace to one central place. So if you have a specific group that operates in maybe 3 or 4 different process buckets, you can actually build everything that they would need so that they can go to one view in SmartSuite and do everything that they need to do across their different tabs here that you see at the top, because each tab is its own unique dashboard view, if you will. I'll pause there, see if you have any questions. It looks like we've got one from Aaron. In the dashboard, if you use record selector and record details and make the page public, it doesn't show up on the public
Fixing
links, but the
this. Yeah, this was just something we didn't finish up in the release, so note that we're working on this. It will be soon.
working on it, it's important to also understand like we're very permission heavy in SmartSuite. It's one of our greatest differentiators in the ability to deliver permissions all the way down to the field level. So making sure that those permission settings apply to the dashboard, which is reporting on and showing information from our different tables, which is where we're putting those permission settings in place. Difficult to figure out, but we're gonna make it happen for us. Great question. Oh, cool. Without further ado, Emma, you want to go through your use case demonstration?
Sure, sounds good. If anyone's having trouble, you can do this in any workspace. The value of it was we can jump in and see other people's dashboards, but if you're having any trouble, just do this in any workspace account and that will work just fine. Okay. Thanks for the overview, Jeff. So today I'm using, again, we like to use SmartSuite for everything, so we're using it for our agenda here. And I have a link to this dashboard that I've created. It's a direct link to the actual dashboard in SmartSuite, which is a part of this solution. So I have a general dashboard solution, and dashboards essentially pull data from all the other solutions in your workspace. So today we are working in a customer support use case. So if I open up this solution, I can see two tables. I can see issues and tasks. They're connected. So if I open up an issue, I can open up the record and I can see everything about the issue. Notice we even have a connection between the client, which is even in a different solution. So as we start to create these relationships from customer support to our CRM here, we can see that contacts have tickets that are associated with them. If I open this up, I'll be able to see likely the additional tickets right here. The dashboard gives me the ability to pull all of this information together and add additional information to make it more of an experience using it. So in this case, I've created a customer service portal. And what this does is it allows me to access the same information I would in another solution, but a lot easier. So we've created a couple, and I'll show you the widgets and how you would start to use a dashboard and how we would set this up so we can make sure you know how to on your own. But I'm using a couple widgets here to provide this portal overview page. If I go into settings here, I'm able to navigate and add different tabs within the dashboard. So think of this as multiple dashboard pages within the whole entire dashboard. So I've done this just by going into the settings navigation, clicking enabled and going in and adding tabs like this. So as I come in and I start to adjust these, I'll do customer overview, ticket overview, something like that. You'll notice that as I change these, it will update the tabs here. In addition, I've titled this, I can add a description if I want, and I've also added a logo for the company. We also have action buttons, which we can add, and this is that button right here at the top that can link to anything you wish. There also are some customizations for footers and styling, which I didn't quite add today, but you can add links, social media, taglines, anything you would like to customize. And then there is a way to adjust the styling of the dashboard, so I can come in here and adjust colors. I can adjust the width depending on what I'm trying to achieve. If it's more of just a page document that I'm sharing with people, I can make it more compact. But in this case, I want it to be larger because it's an internal workflow that we're a part of. This right here is called a hero. So how I add these widgets is simply by clicking this plus sign. And we have a variety of different widget types depending on what you're trying to achieve. In this case, I created a hero, and we can even do a banner. These are quite similar. But adding one of these allows me to create this banner welcome with action buttons if I want. And something I highly recommend is adding FAQ widgets. And this allows people to understand how to use this portal, whether it's a client coming in and using it, or if it's your internal team coming in. So this helps me navigate how I would submit a support ticket, and I can even use this link to do it. Can submit. So having information really easily. So if I click on submit a support ticket, I can actually just come in here and add the new ticket. If I go into the support ticket tab, this is what's pulling from that solution I demonstrated. So all the open support tickets, the status of them, it's pulling from that solution and allowing me to see it at a bird's eye view. This right here is called a heading widget, and I think it's very useful for separating. So if I scroll down, you can see I have multiple heading widgets based on what I'm trying to show, but everything regarding support tickets can be found in this tab. The record selector allows me to come in here and select a particular record from a customer. So from that sales CRM, we have, this is from the support tickets, but it's letting me know the customer. So I can come in here and select Michael Thompson, and I can see his ticket. I can see who it's assigned, the type, the day it was submitted. Easy information here. And then I can see overall open tickets. So we've used a progress metric. So we can also track metrics on dashboards. And we would find this in the metrics section. So this right here is a summary card, allows me to summarize information. And if you go into each widget here, you can actually not only see the widget, or sorry, the record, but you can actually control what. And these widgets are all set up by going into the settings, selecting the source. So the source is the actual solution in which it's pulling from. So if you select this back arrow, you'll be able to see all the solutions within your workspace. But since we're looking for tickets, I can come in here and say, I want to go into the customer support. I want to pull from the issues and tickets. I'd like to pull the actual title. And then here's where I set the filter. So similar to how you would in a grid view or many other practices in SmartSuite, we would just filter where the status is on hold. And that would provide me the one ticket that the status is on hold. And then there's lots of opportunities for coloring. So you can come in here and save changes and add to the color. Notice once you do add these widgets, they are fully customizable to be moved in the location in which you want. So you can actually drag and drop these in different places like this. And you can also expand and collapse them so you can make things bigger or smaller depending on what you're trying to do here. So I like it like this on the back. And then you can move them up and down depending on if you want to reposition these like this. We also have another section using our filter widget and these two charts or grid views and charts. These are embedded views. So not only can you create metrics, selections of records, but you can actually embed views. So rather than working in that grid view all the time, you can actually embed that grid view that you work in most of your day. So in this case, I have added a grid view widget. If you go under views, you're able to see the views that we offer or are going to be offering. And in this case, I've gone into that grid view settings of the widget and I've said, again, I want to pull from the issues and tickets. And then you can determine, similar to how you would set up a normal grid view, you can determine what you're displaying. You can create a filter, a group, allow for inline edit, and then control if you want the toolbar to be displayed. This filter widget adds another layer that allows me to control what I'm seeing here. So I can come in here and select, and I guess I have it connected to this chart here. But I can come in here and select what different filters I want to create based on these fields. I can come in here and select, as you notice, if I click on Abigail, nothing's showing because she doesn't have any active tickets. But I can come in here and adjust based on the ticket type or the status, and it will show me these chart totals. If I wanted to go into this grid view, this filter view, I could come in here and add and connect to the widgets that exist. So if I wanted to connect that grid view, I could come in here and connect it. The filter determines what I'm showing on that filter. So in this case, if I add this, I have now connected it to that grid view. Yeah, it's working now. Okay. So now it's showing only my tickets. A great one is the filtered by current user. So it allows me to see only my tickets. So if Jeff were to sign in, he would only see his tickets like that. So I've done this just by going into the settings and you'll see connected widgets. Note that you may need to create some widgets before others, depending on how they're dependent of each other. An example would be if you have a record selector and record details, you need to be able to determine first what record you're selecting to then show the details. So just keep that in mind. And then we also have a calendar view, an embedded calendar view here. Our calendar view widget is just similar to view types. So I can come in here and see, it looks like September was a busy month. Let's go back to September like that. And we're able to see, there we go. We're able to see all the tickets. And again, this is an interactive experience. So similar to how you would in a typical grid view or record view, all of this is, you can work in here if you want, but it brings together all the information from all the different places you need to see. Just making sure we don't have any. I think I'll get to questions in 1 second. Resource library, I highly recommend that you have either SOP documentation or research location or resource library location to understand where people can find materials or how to use this particular workflow. And I've done this by adding a heading widget, and I've also used a text block. So this allows me to come in and it's as if it was a Smart Doc field. I can come in and actually outline something. So simply by enlarging a text block, I'm able to customize an entire SOP process and put links, format it any way I would like. So people can come in here, whether it's a client trying to understand how to use the portal, or it's an internal team member looking for resources on the workflow.
Quick pause, Emma, if I may. Got a
Yes.
handful of questions in here, if you don't mind. Let's look at Doug's question first. If you get two dynamic filters, why can't the dynamic filter on a date refer to a field that is included from a linked record, a lookup field? So dynamic filtering on a date referring to a lookup field.
I don't think this is applicable in dashboards because I don't think we support it in that way. I'm a bit confused, the question here.
I am too. Doug,
Filtering on a date. I think you can't filter. Maybe instead of using a lookup, you mean to use a formula. That's what I think. Go ahead and open a support ticket and ask there, and our team will respond to you there.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Cool.
that's a good question for our support team.
Is there a central place where we could see all submitted feedback for the new dashboard releases? From what I understand, we're keeping that internal for the time being. Do you know any different, Emma?
Yeah, we actually are submitting that via Canny. The dashboard feedback this is internal that we're gathering, but Canny is also a great way to request features. So that's our public feedback roadmap. And I'm sure we'll gravitate towards that. I think we just want to ensure we're making these changes really quickly. So it's coming into our internal SmartSuite instance. But the the Canny roadmap is always a place for you to submit feature requests, even if it's in regards to dashboards.
Awesome. And then Mauricio asked a really great question, lobbed it us up for us to alley-oop this one home. Is there a limit of tables and records that can be linked and reported to a dashboard or widget in it? No. Essentially, the table limits that you have in terms of the number of records that you can have up to soft limit of 500 fields of information. And then we can include widgets that report on data from across our entire workspace. So more so relevant to the our limitations at the table level or solution level, but in terms of dashboard limits, we don't have any at this point. Thank you for that one. Is there a way to add users via user groups or store them in SmartSuite and change visibility of the dashboard based on user groups, or are dashboards more for sending public links out to external users? Great question. It's a bit of both. Emma, you want to touch on the user groups?
Sure. So any permission that you set within SmartSuite will apply to dashboards. So similar, if you set a field permission, anyone who has access to the dashboard but is restrained from seeing that field will never see it. So when you come into workspace administration and you set permissions on a team level or a member level, in this case probably team, and you would go into your solutions and you assign permissions on a solution level or even a table level, also even a field level. If that information is somehow shown in a dashboard and that person does not have access, they will never see that information. So you never need to set this permission up twice. It'll always apply and carry over.
They can be available to external users, of course. I would say in general, SmartSuite is optimized for internal collaboration for users, whether they're full paid users or guest users.
And the sharing dashboard allows you to share information that doesn't need to be locked down. It's just in the current state of that dashboard.
Great point. Great point. Can we template dashboards? At this point, the answer is no. Just because there's so much configuration for each and every widget that telling it to go and look at a table, you could duplicate a dashboard, you could duplicate any of the views, but in order to templatize something, it needs to have a standard sort of configuration on the back end, which none of our dashboard views have at this point because they're so customizable. Great question.
And then it brings a complicated task of, since you can pull from many solutions, it's hard to determine exactly what someone would want because it could be 5, 10 different workflows it's pulling from. But I'm sure we'll get to the point where we can have dashboarding, at least in the template gallery, with all the new enhancements, so you can start to see how something could look for a particular use case. I think there is a limit to the number of tabs, but I need to get the exact number from you.
I believe it's 6, either
Okay.
5 or 6.
Got it. Okay.
Cool. Let's get back into your flow. That way we can stay on track.
Okay, perfect. So performance metrics, not only can you track like the actual data from within the solution, but you can also have information about the overall performance. As Jeff was saying, it's not just, it's just not just dashboard, it's a canvas that you create and pull information from different places. The performance metrics allows me to pull data from a reporting standpoint, such as values like the formula, average or days since submission. And I can take the average of that, so I can see that it's taken 20 days per submission for the tickets. And I can pull other information like a rating score. Note that most all widgets can have some sort of tooltip description. So you can make it really easy for people to be able to see. So for example, I have a tooltip right here that shows like 1 is unsatisfied, 10 is very satisfied. So making it as easy as possible for your users to understand. So everyone's aligned on the process. So lots of room for that. And I did forget to mention, you can adjust the highlighting of the color highlighted for these widgets to make them stand out as well. So summary card is actually just, you can fill it in. And then most all widgets have the ability to create this little outline, like here. We also have a filter widget as well here, connected to the chart and the calendar. So in this case, this is similar to what we did, but we can see reporting on tickets this month by type. And we can also, I think I meant to move this up here, but creating a section, moving it around to see the different locations it can go. And then we created a smart doc or a text block of the weekly plan for this support team. We have a link that connects them to the stand-up. That's every Monday and Wednesday at 8 a.m. So know that there's a lot of different widgets you can use for either if it's conferencing, project related, couple really unique ones that sometimes are hidden down here, but using buttons and links to external places can be really helpful to consolidate information into one place. We have a question about, is there a permission level for guests to sign in and view dashboards only? That's something we're working on. Right now it's the shared view, but we are working on more of a portal experience where guest users can come in and see one thing via a login. So more to come in the next couple months on that. And yes, they can be guests, Aaron. They have to be assigned to the records to be able to see them, but they can't edit. Like you said, they can adjust status fields and leave comments, but they do have to be assigned to the record. And keep in mind, if you're pulling information from multiple solutions, they need to be assigned to every record that is part of the dashboard. So just being assigned to one record within the same table is not going to work. That's why the shared dashboard is typically a better option.
With a proper data setup, and mind you, we have to go into greater detail to really give you the full picture of what development looks like. But if you have a table of people and you have an assigned to field representing that person, when you assign them to something via a linked record, you can look up their assigned to alias, have an automation actually stamp that assigned to, look up into an assigned to field on that table. So it doesn't have to be as manual as you would think to maintain the backend to allow for this portal to work. But that's why we have an amazing ecosystem of partners to help with setup. So if at any point you'd like to speak with one of those consultants, please just let us know.
Okay, we're going to get started with the live session because we're already 30 minutes in. This goes by really fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a poll and we're going to vote on a use case that we will be building. So hopefully many of you got access to the workspace. If you didn't, it's okay. You can do this in any SmartSuite workspace, not a problem. I'm going to launch this poll right now. And this is the vote on what use case we will build, primarily yourself. Like we'll give you some direction, answer questions, but go ahead and select which one. We have the options of project management, marketing plans and resources, objectives and key results, sales CRM, and inventory management. All of these can be built in SmartSuite, but we're just choosing one for time's sake today. But they will equip you with the skills you would need to use for any use case. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Most people want project management, which is understandable. So you don't need the application workspace solution. This is for us to manage the webinar. You'll be downloading your own solution template, so not to worry on this.
Emma built this. Emma built everything that you see in here. She's incredible.
Okay, I think we have a strong lead of project management, so I think we'll stick with that one today. So everyone go ahead and get set up on your workspace here. And what we're going to do is don't worry about these solutions that we were talking about today. We're actually going to download a template. So everyone go into the template gallery, and we are going to be using the project management template. So it's going to look like something like this. So give everyone a second to do that. We're going to use the template. So template gallery, click on here, and then you'll download that project management template like this. Something that I'm hoping everyone can do is they can go into their solution and just put their name. I'm going to do Emma project management. This will just help us if you do volunteer for us to look at your dashboard. You know where to go. So that would be helpful because everyone's going to be in here working alongside each other. Just go ahead and download the template and then give your solution a name with your name. First name is fine. Are you participating, Jeff, as well? I'm just
No,
kidding.
I'm gonna be judging today.
Okay. You don't have to volunteer yourself.
I think that's my true calling.
Okay. Maybe just a heads up how we're doing here. If we have the template downloaded, and once we're ready to go, we'll get started. We have instructions for you on recommendations for this dashboard. So if I could just get some confirmation that we are ready, we will get started. Does everyone have the template? Okay, Dave is ready, as always. Okay, so the first thing, and I'll describe to you what we're doing. We're going to recommend, and we're going to start with these widgets. If you finish all this, feel free to start adding more. That's totally fine. The filter widgets we're going to use today are dashboard tabs and logo, a banner, heading, or hero widget, depending on what you feel looks best for you. Summary card, grid view, filter widget, record select, and record details. Those are two different ones. I should clarify that. And then chart view. So we do have a couple bonus if you're looking to add action buttons, maybe a form, embed, or pivot table. Feel free to do that as well. I'm going to give you a quick hint on how to add these. So in case you missed, we have the settings panel here. Under navigation, you can actually give your dashboard a title. If you're unsure how to even get here, you open this navigation right here in your solution template. At the bottom, there will be a button that says create new view, and dashboard view will be on the left-hand side. So that's how you would get here. In those settings, we can understand there's that navigation panel that we were discussing in the beginning. And in the section in which it says tabs, you can start to add these tabs. Think of tabs as different components of the workflow. So maybe you are doing this, it doesn't matter, that's a very good question, Merritt. It doesn't matter what table you do this dashboard in, you can even create a new table, just called dashboard, or you can put it in any existing table, but it doesn't matter, anywhere that makes most sense to you. But these tabs can be components of the workflow. Maybe you want that project overview landing page that we were creating in the customer support use case. Don't feel like you have to have 3 completed dashboard tabs today. Maybe focus on one and then see where others can fit. but just getting in the habit of creating these tabs and breaking out your workflow items. And the logo is where you can add this logo image of your company or any image you want for today. And then the action buttons are that bonus feature. No worries, Jeff. You can build this later and send it to us if you want. Styling would be also in the styles tab, so that's controlling the background and the sizing of the width. And then once you start to begin to add these widgets, so we did the dashboard tabs and logo, we can begin adding the other ones. So in the first page display, you'll see those banners and headings. In metrics section, you'll see the summary cards that you can start to add, or even some of the other metric widgets. You'll see in the record displays, you'll see the record selector, record details, and then a
While
filter.
we're
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Apologies, Emma, my bad. While we're showing record selector and record details, I think that's a great example. Something to focus on as you're going through this exercise, we call them design patterns, right? With a solution like SmartSuite, it's essentially acting like a set of Legos, if you will, where you can use one of our templates if you prefer, where you can buy a pre-constructed Lego set. But for the most part, the real fun in playing with Legos, throwback for you, is that you get to really build whatever you want in the way that you want. And so that's what we're providing here in a business application setting. And so design patterns are, hey, I know that a handful of these features work really well together. An example of that could be, in that case, record selector and record detail with a handful of other widgets where you're going to connect these different pieces that come together and provide a ton of value. Another example could be an assign to a status field and an automation to where once my status changes from X to Y, then I want you to go and find that assigned to value and send them an email. A very common design pattern in SmartSuite. The reason I say this, it helps to be able to spin up dashboards and different things really quickly, and codifying what those design patterns are for you and what your team really enjoys from a UX perspective, extremely valuable for you to be able to understand that, because as you start to iterate on your solution or even build and create additional solutions, understanding how to build those design patterns really quickly, extremely helpful.
Okay, we have a question. So Gantt view, yes, you can have a Gantt view. Gantt views will be supported in dashboard shortly. But visualize differences with the baseline. I think if there's a numerical value involved, you may not even need a Gantt view. Maybe it's just a two comparisons. An example would be a project budget and then how much each task is costing, so build versus actual hours. Gantt view is really for showing, I think let's add a Gantt view. So Gantt view will be supported in dashboards, but it's based on dependencies. So an example would be task dependent to be completed for a project. Thank you, Catherine. Yes. So if you want the tabs first, create the tabs. Yes, create them first. Otherwise, the dash will be. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So creating the dashboard tabs is a good idea, because then you will be able to start to separate those groupings of data that you want. Thank you for the advice. How's everyone doing? Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any questions here? I'll go back to my overview of the widgets we're using today. Sorry for closing that. But if anyone has any questions on how to add any of these, let me know and we can add them together.
While we're here, Emma, one of my favorites, is there any way you could show, I don't know if you have this, but helpful for people to know, can you show how we can embed a form into a custom code widget? I think it's super
Yes.
helpful to have side by side a form next to a way to be able to visualize all the data that already exists in there. And it's not something that's extremely apparent that it's possible. So let's go ahead and look at this together.
Sure, so this is part of the bonus round, but we will give you a hint on this. So let's say in my customer support solution, I have a new ticket form that we were looking at earlier. If I can copy this link like this, link or embedded code, they work just the same. And I go into my dashboard view. I want to come in here and actually embed a new support ticket form. I can come in here and toggle this on, and I'm going to use a custom code widget. This custom code widget allows me, so new ticket form, allows me to paste the URL or the HTML code, allow me to embed this form onto my dashboard. This is really helpful. Not forms are good for external users to submit information, but we use them all the time because it's a really easy way to get information to SmartSuite. You're creating a record just by submitting a form. So I can come in here and have this form set up for me to be able to create a new ticket as if I would from the grid view, like that. How to filter connecting widgets. Are you using a filter widget?
Emma, I'm noticing a theme here. Got a couple
Yeah.
folks. I'm lost as to where I need to be in the demo workspace.
Oh, okay. What we did was we downloaded a template, and that was a project management template. So if you go into the template gallery and you type in project management, we have all downloaded the project management template. Once you've downloaded it, you'll see in open projects. You can either create a new table and create the dashboard here, or you can just add a dashboard view to the existing table up here in projects. So we're just working in a dashboard view in any table of the solution that you downloaded. Do you understand the baselines? Can they be defined or not based on Gantt? Do you understand that question, Jeff?
Based on Gantt, I don't. Is it clear? Is it not? It is not clear about the baselines. Can they be defined or not based on Gantt? So you can define the baselines using any fields within SmartSuite. If you want to define schedule, cost, scope, they can be field values that you choose. And then from a Gantt view, you can click into a record and see all the details about it. But I'm not necessarily sure what you mean by based on Gantt.
Okay, let's go back to this. Okay. So here are the widgets. We showed you how to do the form embed, so feel free to do that. Then the action buttons, remember, they are in navigation and action buttons. And we'll be using this in just a second because we're going to provide feedback on whoever decides to so kindly share their dashboard with us. Is anyone close to being finished? Because we can start presenting. Oh, Erin, great job. Let us know who's interested in sharing this dashboard and we can get to presenting. Erin, are you ready? Can we pull up your solution if that's okay? Okay. Here's Erin's. Did you create the dashboard here? I'm assuming. Perfect. It looks great, I will say. Great job. So she has her two tabs. She put the logo. She's using this banner widget. She has the build hours, which is polling that's going to the widget details so we can take a look. She's using a summary card to summarize the project build hours. She's also using a record selector so she can click the different projects and see a nice outline of all of the different projects. Her second tab shows the filter widget for the grid view and then a chart with the pies. And she also added a form. Really good job. Let me, oh, I think this is, There we go. Okay. Great job, Erin. Let's go ahead and if anyone is interested in submitting feedback for Erin through our form, she would like that. Okay. Anyone else interested in sharing? Did anyone do action buttons or pivot table? That one's tough. So we do have a question about asking more about filters. How do you not show finished tickets? So if I go into let's go to the dashboard solution again. I think it's in here, yeah.
So we've got our friend Doug, who did do an action button, but he's not yet done with the rest of the items.
Oh, that's
We
fine.
will patiently wait for you, Doug. Exciting stuff.
We're filtering this status here. Sorry, yeah, to filter out a status, you would just go into the section that you want to filter out in. In this case, we're doing a summary card. If you click on filter, you can actually filter any status out. So you can say where the status is not, is none of, is any, and then select the status that you want. And this can be done most of our widget types.
While we're there, Emma, can you go back into that
Yes.
configuration menu? Got a question from Noah. Basically, the metric value is the field that you're choosing to assess. In this case, if you drop down ticket summary, this is likely a title or some sort of word or text field. So it simply allows you to count. As you can see, you don't really have any options there. But if this were a number field, you could tell it to sum or average or give you a range. It's essentially just pointing to the field that you want to assess. Question, Noah.
Catherine, are you referring to read text? Individual data versus aggregate?
Yeah, I would say grid view can get you to where you want to go, most likely.
Yeah.
Grid view or what you're seeing right there in record selector and record detail. Either one where you want to show individual field values for a record. That's the direction.
Mhm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there, my bad.
Oh, no. All good. So charts with roll. We can only show charts with only individual roll up records. Can we show charts with only individual roll up records as in a client portal? Filtering tickets. And in a grid view or the filter by widget? Yes, Catherine, we can do that. You could create individual dashboards that are filtered for them. If they're in SmartSuite as a guest, they would only see the records they're assigned to. But if they're not, I think I would create a dashboard for each client and then have it assembled for them. And then Alexandra, did you mean filtering using the filter widget or a grid view? Because you can do both. So you can go into filters and you can add the different fields you want to filter by, or you can do it in the grid view as well. But I'm not sure what you mean or where you mean it. Is anyone else? The grid view, yes, okay, so if you go into the grid view and you start editing, you would display the reporting toolbar and this will allow you to create filters. You can also have it connected by that filter widget that we talked about, but likely you just don't have this checked. It will allow you to create those filters here. And then you can save it.
On the back end, that same design pattern of having a table of customers, and then if they're guest users, they'll have an assigned to field, Catherine. But essentially, yeah, you'd be able to have one dashboard and then it's dynamically filtered to show only what they have permissions to see. So if your client A is logged into SmartSuite and they're assigned only a handful of records, they're going to see the actual output of those metrics or charts relevant to only what they have permissions. So only the things that they've been assigned. So yes. Can the filter widget be used to filter due date across numerous tables? No, I don't believe so. Emma, do you know by chance?
I think typically what I find is people have grid views right next to each other in sections. So one grid view for this purpose, the next grid view, or even on different tabs. But a grid view and a connected filter is per table. So you may want to think about if it's important to see that data on one solution or one table, you may want to put those in one table. But the way to segment that would be to have two different grid views, each with their own filter widget. You can even separate them into tabs or sections. Oh, hold on, sorry, let me go back, Doug, to our assignment. And then let me know who else is ready. We can share yours. But these are the widgets we need. I'll also put them in the chat for us so we can not forget. There we go. You would create that filter, Sarah, and then just remove the filter from the display.
And JM, in that case, I wouldn't necessarily use a rollup. I would likely use a lookup field to bring that data in. Just a heads up for you. If you're looking to bring over program, project, phases, milestones, tasks. Hope that's helpful.
All right, Heather, if you're having trouble, accept the invite that we sent you to your Heather, I just resent the invite. What we did is we downloaded a project management template, and you'll probably want to watch the recording as we're on to presentations, but if you go into the template gallery, you download project management template. We're building a dashboard. So you may want to watch the recording because we only have 9 minutes left. So we're going to be working on or having people present their dashboards now. Speaking of that, who else is ready for us to share their dashboard? Dave? Just kidding. These don't have to be a finished product because I know you could spend a lot of time on these dashboards. So this is a work in progress. No worries. No worries, Dave. We'll take one more person, whoever wants to share. Oh, Doug, are you ready? Okay, thank you. Do you have, what did you title your solution? Oh, there we go. Found it. Okay. Perfect. All right, so he has 3 tabs: agenda, records, and calendar. We go into agenda, we have a banners. Let's go into view. A hero widget with a description. We have a summary card with the average progress, which I think that's interesting. I like that. 40%. We have a project selector with the details. Shows the name, description, project manager, and progress. In records, we have the summary card and this filter widget by owner. Very nice. And then a calendar view. And we have an action button for Google it. I love it. Great job. Let's go ahead and submit some feedback for Doug if you wish, or Aaron on their dashboards.
We want to go back to that last dashboard we were looking at. There was the 0.33333 repeated output.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and look at those configuration settings. So progress, let's go look at that progress data field. Roger that.
Is it a progress bar? Let me see. Huh. I don't know if we can round that. What we could try and do. So what Jeff is likely saying, I think, if I can read his mind, I think what he's
Sometimes you
trying to
can.
say, let's just do 0, actually. There we go. So what we're going to do is, since it's a progress bar, it's coming up as a decimal, since we aren't able to round the progress bar, strangely. That's okay. So this is going to show us basically the whole number by rounding to 0 decimal places. So instead of having that like 0.10 decimals, that kind of looked strange. We can go in and I think we can use a form. Let's make sure. There we go. And then it will give us there. Average progress is now just 40.
Eventually, we'll want to be able to have those formatting operations available within
Yes.
that widget menu. But for now, it's a great workaround.
Yeah,
Between formulas and automations, you could basically make whatever you want happen. It's just a matter of how. Sorry, Emma, go ahead. What were you saying?
oh no, nothing. Jeff, is this? I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's other Jeff.
Oh.
Smarter Jeff.
Anyone else want to share? Don't be shy. Do you have any feedback for people?
Thanks, Doug.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Doug. Okay, Noah is willing to share. Yeah, of course we're still working. I could spend hours on dashboards sometimes, so I totally understand. I think it's this one. Yeah. Oh, nice. Wow. I love it.
All right. So
This is
he's
awesome.
got a background in UI design. Beautiful.
So we have, I think, yeah, this is the selector. Okay, so we have the colors. We're using this. Let's go into the edit widget settings. Hold on a second. So we have a button. So to submit a new project request, we have the hero, the summary cards set up, the filter widget. You can click into these projects. Very nice. It's set up correctly. You can see them changing. And then he's still working. But this is great. It looks really good. I love the use of color as well for these. Really good job. Feel free to submit some feedback for Noah. Thanks, Adrienne. No worries. Are hidden record selectors with the ability to dynamically select pictures in the realm of feasibility? Hidden record selectors.
What you're probably looking for is a grid view with, you can apply filter settings, group settings. Really, you can create a view, put it in a dashboard, and you can hide that toolbar from that actual widget. So you're in that widget seeing what you would typically see in a grid view in any other grid view, except you don't have the ability to change it. So then at that point, you can dynamically filter to show maybe an assigned to value is the current user, group by a certain value, hide the toolbar, and then that way everybody's seeing the same structure, but different data based on who they are.
All right. Any last minute shares? If not, we will wrap this up, but in case someone was dying to share that we missed, I want to make sure you get your time. If there's any questions, so I'm actually going to send you a couple things. First off, if you want a more detailed overview and some inspiration for use cases for dashboards, we have a special guide for you to walk you through these. I know we only did one use case, 2 use cases today, but this document will give you a very detailed overview of the types of dashboards you can create. So
Can you throw that link in the chat real quick, Emma?
Sorry?
Can you throw that link into the chat?
Oh, it is, yeah, it's in the
It's in
chat.
there? Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Excuse me, sorry.
Oh, no worries. So that's one thing. And then we will be hosting training. So we do monthly training on these types of features, especially our dashboard features. We're doing a lot of focus on those. So feel free to sign up for our monthly training class. And then if you have any questions on dashboards as they come up and you want some personal time to share your screen, even follow up from today's session, feel free to join our office hours. So we have a live session 3 days a week for an hour, and you can come in and ask all your questions, dashboard related or not. But I just put the link in there as well. Last but not least, we would really appreciate your feedback on today's event, because Jeff and I always try to make these the best they can be. So you can give us ideas for new webinars, and you can provide feedback from today's session. That would be most helpful. But thank you everyone for taking the time. I hope you learned something about dashboards today.
I hope everybody learned something. I hope a little bit of inspiration for what you could build out for the rest of your team and maybe additional teams within your company that are exploring SmartSuite. Emma, thank you for building so much and putting so much together in preparation for this. And thanks everybody for attending. Appreciate it.
Thank you.